Welcome to the conversation at airsafe.com. I'm your host, Todd Curtis. On this show, we have a very special and unusual event. I have on the line here Gloria Curtis. As the name implies, there is a relationship between the two of us. She's my cousin. She's living in Mansfield, Ohio, and she just happens to be running for mayor of Mansfield, Ohio. As we speak, it's October 16th, 2015, and the election is just a few weeks away. So without further ado, welcome to the show, Gloria.
Thank you, cousin. I appreciate it very much.
Not only are we cousins, which means we have a relative in common, but both of our fathers were fraternal twins. So it's closer than you can imagine. And they both served in the Marines in the Second World War.
Yes, they were Montfort Point Marines. So that means they are extra special guys because they were awarded a Congressional Gold Medal.
Now, they were awarded that medal because not only they were Marines, which is tough enough to be under any circumstances, but as some of you may know, in the 20th century, prior to World War II, the U.S. Marines barred African Americans from serving. And they were deployed all over the Pacific primarily, and both of our fathers were deployed to Hawaii, and they were ammunition loaders, and history interceded. The atomic bombs of Hiroshima and Nagasaki ended World War II. Otherwise, they might have gone into battle for the homeland islands of Japan. So, on the one hand, we're glad they didn't fight. On the other hand, well, Hiroshima and Nagasaki had to happen. But we're not here to talk about the past. We're here to talk about the future of Mansfield, Ohio, with mayoral candidate Gloria Curtis. So, tell us a bit about where you came from. You were not born in Mansfield, but you were born in Ohio.
Yes.
And you've had nearly a half-century relationship with Mansfield. So let's hear about that.
Well, I'm holding at 37 years of age. I'm never going to go beyond that. So, I am born at Rickenbacker Air Force Base. It used to be called Lockburn back in the day. And we moved to Mansfield when my dad came back stateside later on. We moved to Mansfield in 1966. And I stayed there from 1966 until 1978 when I went off to college. Now, that's part of the problem, is a lot of our young people here in Mansfield leave to go off to college and they don't come back. And neither did I. I didn't come back until 2012. And when I came back, things hadn't gotten any better. The condition of the city in terms of curb appeal, not good at all. We have lost almost every single thing that a good city needs to grow and develop. All of our businesses have gone. And so right now I am running for mayor because of the three candidates that are running. I'm the only one that has a platform. If the other two candidates have a platform, I haven't seen it, and neither has anyone else. So my platform for the city consists of things I feel we should have been doing, but we haven't. And my dad used to say this, and I heard it quite often. If you want it done right, daggone it, do it yourself. And he said that when he was fixing things around the house, and he's out in the driveway and he's working on the car, tinking. Gotta do it yourself. And so that's my spirit of running for mayor. Things haven't been done right, honestly, and I'm not trying to be sexist about this, but it hasn't been run correctly here in Mansfield since we had a female mayor, Lydia Reed, and that was eons ago. I'm not saying that men can't do it right. The ones we have had in office haven't had the vision and the energy to do anything else. And so the city is in really bad shape. We are facing a deficit again this year. We just came out of a financial emergency last year of 2014. And we haven't kept up with the mandates of that financial emergency plan in order for the city to be fiscally sound. So I want it done right, and I'm running for mayor so that I can make sure that the city begins turning the curve, making a change and going in the right direction, because we're going down. And it just bothers me. So that's why I am running. Incidentally, I am running as the first black woman to run for mayor here in Mansfield, and I hope that that doesn't mean a whole lot to everybody. All it means is I'm a woman and I see things differently. So that's what I want to be known as.
I'd like to talk about the things you see differently, specifically talking about many of the points of your platform. Now, you have 10 points in the platform, and a couple of the points are particularly intriguing. You'd like to start a citywide recycling program, as well as working to bring green energy to the city. Now, green energy, for those you may not know, is energy that isn't from traditional sources like fossil fuels or nuclear, but we're talking about wind and solar primarily. So how do you see those two things working together?
Well, the city charter of Mansfield says that they want to move the city toward green energy. And that hasn't been done. It never has been done. We don't have anything that's going to make the city more attractive than having alternate sources of energy. I would like us to be like Lafayette, Indiana, or Yellow Springs, Ohio, where they have energy and they give it for free to have businesses come into their cities. And so Mansfield needs to be able to have something that's going to lure companies in because we have so much to offer and it's just not been utilized properly. So we're going to have to talk about this more, Todd, as time goes on. We're going to have to talk about all the pros of Mansfield, and we're going to have to talk to all the businesses because I want them to email me and come see our city. And we have a need for a grocery chain. We have Kroger's here, and I love Kroger's, but we need more than just two grocery stores.
Now, I put those two together, the recycling program and green energy, because I live in the Boston area, and I'm a graduate of MIT, and I go to the campus on a regular basis, and there's all sorts of solar energy research going on, and some of the things outside the campus that caught my eye. There are waste bins around the campus that have a little solar panel on top that powers the compactor that's inside of it, and I thought, well, that's really key.
Oh, we need that. Todd, listen. You need to take a picture of that. You can be a contractor.
Let me say this to the people of Mansfield. I will happily provide my insights to the city of Mansfield if it will improve that city. I won't charge a dime for it.
They need all the help they can get. Todd, we don't even have recycling here. You know, I am so used to recycling everything. I go through, if I eat some processed food, I go through to make sure, okay, is this recycled? Okay. Even before I buy it, I want to make sure that that container I'm going to dump is recyclable or I won't buy it. And you come here to Mansfield, they don't do any recycling. None.
And of course, if people are more aware of the benefits of recycling, they'll start demanding recyclable materials in their products and services.
Well, I think that we can. Oh, Todd, I wish you could come here and talk to the, you know what? I'm going to talk to the news director here of the TV station and have her to talk to you about the things you can do for the city of Mansfield.
I'd be happy to do so. But one of the things that you talked about, which wasn't in your platform, but it's a very serious problem in Mansfield, is that a good portion of the population doesn't have regular access to the internet, making it difficult to find out information about what's going on around town.
Exactly.
Making it difficult for them to find out about you and what you have to offer. But at the same time, there are resources, fantastic resources in Mansfield, where anybody can get free access to the internet. I'm thinking primarily the library, but as a resident of Mansfield, you can tell us and tell the people out there just how much this library has to offer.
Well, we have got so much to offer. And as you said, you pointed out all the things that we've got. We do have internet service. We have Wi-Fi. So if someone comes there with their Apple AirPad or even their phone or their laptop, they can sit anywhere in the library and they can Wi-Fi. We also have an internet cafe. And so we have two places, and the library is probably my favorite one. I spent many hours there in the junior high school. We can do so many things using the library's internet sources, there's no reason why the residents can't be more internet savvy than they are. And I'd like to see that become a reality, but I got to get in office, Todd.
Well, I hear you. And on the subject of libraries, for those of you who haven't been to a local library lately, I recommend you do two things. First, go to your library and get a library card. If you have children, make sure they have library cards. And it's not like when Gloria and I were growing up, where the only thing you used the library for was to check out a book and maybe read the encyclopedia. A lot of the services the library has are electronic. So if you have a library card, you have access to free databases, the best databases of information from around the country. If you have a student in your house who wants to study whatever subject it is, and the school books don't exactly cover everything, check in with your library, talk to the librarian, figure out what they have on site, figure out what they have online, and supplement and enhance whatever educational opportunities you have there in Mansfield. Now, I'm not just about the internet, although we are speaking on airsafe.com's podcast. There's more to life than the internet. And in Mansfield, one of your points talks about a very, very basic thing that's often overlooked. That's transportation. You want to develop a transportation hub for rail, for buses. Well, let's hear about it. What do you want to do with transportation in Mansfield?
Okay, for far too long, we have been waiting since the 70s when our businesses began closing up in Mansfield. The city residents have been waiting for companies to come in, keep hoping and praying that they're going to come in. Well, they're not. So, what I want to do with my transportation hub, which is, I would say, halfway there, we have a small bus depot already there. Used to be used by Greyhound, who they no longer come to Mansfield. But we do have a county bus service here in Mansfield. And that is a area for a transportation hub startup right there. There's seed right there. So what I've done is I've talked to the transportation department. They love the idea of having passenger buses going from Mansfield to Marysville, Ohio, where there's the Honda plant, and from Mansfield to Mount Vernon, where there is the Rolls-Royce Energy Systems, and then Mansfield to Columbus, and then also to Cleveland. Because poverty here is a problem, then that's a problem getting to those jobs. And those are good jobs that will pay a living wage. They're going to have benefits. Because part of our emergency plan, when we came out of financial emergency last year, was we've got to increase the amount of income tax, which is paid to the city when people are working. If we can get that increase, the auditor's office said for 2015, we had to bring in $3.3 million in income tax. We haven't done that. So my transportation depot is going to give people the chance to buy a commuter pass, hop on that bus, go off to work, and then come back. They don't have to worry about car payment or maintenance or car insurance, because if you don't have it, just have that weekly or monthly pass, go on to work. That way we are starting to at least dig ourselves out of the hole. Then the second part of this transportation hub is going to be to start rail service. Coming through Mansfield, I would like it to come from between Columbus, Mansfield to Cleveland, so that either way, people and goods can travel between Columbus, Mansfield, and Cleveland.
I'm glad you mentioned that about the rail transport into Mansfield, because Mansfield is actually home to one railway, Ashland Railway, and it also connects with Norfolk Southern, which is one of the largest cargo rail systems in the country. So Mansfield conceivably could be a place where businesses could have their factories or their warehouses and ship goods right there on the rail.
Yes, they can. And that's the beauty of the city. We have more than a lot of places have. We have access to an airport that's great for shipping in and out product. We have rail service. We even have a beautiful facility sitting right at the rail station with a gorgeous parking lot out there who would love to transport their business into the next generation. Come here to Mansfield. We've got what they need.
Now, you mentioned a few minutes ago that the old bus station is already there. It can be used as a transportation hub by new bus service. So we're talking about infrastructure that's in place. Several of your platform points talks about another kind of infrastructure that's in place. You'd like to halt the demolition of housings and buildings, which is a program that the current administration in Mansfield is very much in favor of. As you told me earlier, they're taking down these houses and not replacing them with anything. And at the same time, you would like to have an inventory of all the vacant housing that's in the city. You'd like to work with HUD to acquire rights to these vacant houses. And you also want to have a squatters' rights program where you can have people living in vacant houses rather than having these houses lie vacant. So talk to us about those 3 points.
Okay. Now, the current administration, Tim Thinker, who's mayor, has taken a grant that pays to tear down houses. Now, I'm not in favor of that at all. I think I would rather see a vacant house be rehabilitated and lived in. There comes in my squatters' rights program, because why reinvent the wheel? Why not use a program that's been tried and proven to work in other areas? Now, this is going to be like a land grant back in the day when our grandfather came here to Texas and got land. A lot of places have had squatters' rights program. Detroit, Michigan did it, and Chicago has done it. I think we can do it with the number of houses we have here. My squatters' rights program says this: we, as a city, are going to offer people who are interested to come from other areas. I don't care where they come from, Cleveland, Akron, Youngstown, Timbuktu, to come here, look at the inventory of our houses, and choose one. It's going to be in the shape it is when they get it. We're not going to do anything else to it. They are going to sign a contract. They're going to pay a small monthly fee, tiny. They're going to be required to bring that house up to code so that when they're in that house, it's going to go from blighted into beautiful. Now, I would rather see a house used that way. I would rather see a house rehabilitated than to see a field of weeds there, because nothing's going in its place. So the squatters' rights program is going to take those blighted houses, turn them into houses that are owned by people who have some pride because they own that piece of property. And we're going to bring people in who have dreams of home ownership. So we're going to increase our population. We are going to bring people in who have children, who are going to put their children in our schools and increase our population. They are going to work and live in Mansfield. That's what we need, people to have the American dream and do it here in Mansfield. If you have an idea for a business, we need a FedEx office printing center. Anyone listening? We need a FedEx office printing center here in Mansfield.
Now, your platform is not just about office centers. Your platform is not just about housing. You're also talking about bringing family businesses and planning a process so that other businesses can come to some of the major thoroughfares here in the city, like Park Avenue West, Ashland Road, and along Main Street. So talk to us about that for a bit.
Well, we have got a lot of beautiful old buildings along Main Street, and those are perfect. They are aesthetically very pleasing. They have been maintained, and it gets a lot of traffic there. Those areas along Main Street are ready for someone to come in with a small business. I would love to see art shops pop up. I would love to see a small business pop up along Main Street. We have going out to Park Avenue West. We have so much available property out there, business property. We would love to see a ice rink or a roller rink come in. I would like to see a business like a Dave & Buster's or Scene 75. Scene 75 is in Cincinnati and in Dayton, Ohio. And it's family friendly because we don't have anything for our children and our young people and our young families to do here. So we need to use Park Avenue West to build it up. And all those vacant large buildings we have there, I would love to have some companies come in and investigate what we have to offer and then invest in Mansfield because Mansfield is also going to be the area where new development is going to come in a retail area. We have Ontario, which is neighboring right next to Mansfield. That shopping mall there is dwindling down. It is not the shopping center of my dreams, and I don't think for most of us who love to shop, it's our dream place to want to go. I see that Mansfield has a niche to fill. So we need to bring in something like the Easton Mall or like the Polaris Center in Columbus. Both Easton and the Polaris areas are beautiful. We have the Green in Beaver Creek, Ohio. I would love to see something like the Green or the Easton Center come to Mansfield. So we have the property available for people. We just need to get the interest and get people talking to us about coming in and letting us give them a tour of all the things the city has to offer.
Now, there's one other area in your platform, which is another thing the city has to offer, an outstanding resource that's sitting there waiting for someone to take advantage of it, and that's Mansfield-Lam Airport, which, as I understand, has the second longest runway in all of Ohio, right after Wright-Patterson Air Force Base.
Yes.
And this is for those of you who are aviation fans like myself, this is a 9,000-foot runway, 150 feet wide. This is wider and longer than runways at most airports here in the United States. So what do you envision a company, let's say a FedEx or UPS, doing with an airport like this?
Well, I would like to see us become a commercial hub for maintenance because Cleveland's airport area is kind of landlocked. Columbus is nearby. I would like to see us have a maintenance hub for commercial aircraft. Also, FedEx is going to have a ground facility in our next area over in Ontario. I would like them to think about putting in a shipping FedEx airship. Well, what do you want to call it?
An air transportation hub, somewhat like what UPS has several places, what FedEx has in Memphis. Being close to a major interstate highway, which is connecting the Dayton area with Columbus, and also major rail lines, you have the intermodal option in that it's not just an airport there. There are other things that you can use for transportation once you get to the airport.
Yes, and so we are very attractive, I feel, in terms of business growth and opportunities for business here. We have got everything they could want here in Mansfield. We've got rail lines. We are between two major cities of Columbus and Cleveland, right on the highway, directly on the highway. And we also have our airport. And all the businesses around here that are vacant, all the buildings rather, that are vacant, we can work with almost any business to get them into our city. And with all the smaller areas around, not just using the residents of Mansfield to patronize those businesses, but we have other areas. We've got Ashland and Lexington and Worcester and Bucyrus and Gallion, all the other smaller areas that would come to Mansfield to use those businesses. So they would have a constant source of patrons. So for all reasons, Mansfield is a beautiful place to go. We are a dream waiting to come into reality.
Now, speaking of dreamers, I was looking at some of the statistics for Mansfield, and I saw from the U.S. Census that 1 in 5 of the residents there are under the age of 18. And you yourself grew up there, went to high school there, and left at age 18 to college. What can you say to those folks who are younger folks, who are like you just a couple of years ago, thinking about where to go, right, what to do with their lives? What do you want to do, or what do you want to say to them to encourage them to, like you, come back to Mansfield, but maybe not come back after such a long period of time?
Well, I would like them to give me their input. Don't feel as though no one cares and no one's not going to listen and it won't do any good. I want them to take a more proactive stance and feel as though, hey, she wants to know what's important to me, to my age group, because we can work together. If I know what their ideas are, if I know what their dreams are for the city, then maybe I can work with my administration to help those things become reality in Mansfield. Because we have Mansfield OSU here, a branch of it's right here, and we have a lot of college students that I would like to see stay here. I can't ask someone to do anything more than I did. If they leave, I would understand, but in retrospect, I came back. I would ask them to go out, get your education, bring your skills and your education back home to make a difference because it's not all about money. It's about making your hometown better and so that you can feel some sense of accomplishment. And I helped my hometown. That's why I'm running for mayor now, is because I came back home with the experiences from having lived outside of Mansfield for so long. I came back with the initiative, the drive, and the education, and I'm now working to kind of bring all that back home to make a big change for my hometown. So the young people, please don't forget us. If you must leave, become educated, acquire experiences, but please come back home and bring that back to us because the city can't grow without young people.
I'd love to talk about how you left and got your education, but before I do that, I want to remind not just young people, but everyone out there in Mansfield that you can get your idea to Gloria right here, right now. Just go to GloriaCurtisForMayor.com. That's GloriaCurtisForMayor.com. They have a contact form. Say what you want, and she'll get back to you. So getting back to your story, you left Mansfield, and you stayed within the state of Ohio. You went to Central State University, which is a historically black college university. And full disclosure, once upon a time, a couple of years ago, I actually visited her at Central State University. So I got a chance to see the campus firsthand for myself. Very vibrant university, but let's see what you have to say about it, Gloria. Your experience there, how did it form you as an adult and as an activist?
Well, when I left Mansfield in 1978 after graduating from Marlboro High School, I went to college and I was always the kind of person that I have my own mind. I'm not going to be led into doing something I don't want to do. However, when I am adamant, when I'm on fire about a cause, I go at it with a vengeance. So in college, that kind of attitude in me was nurtured further. I was a political science student, and in political science, we were taught why injustice occurs, how to fight injustice, and in that, advocating for justice to be served. And it's not just justice. I'm not saying the police and people out in the community. I'm saying injustice everywhere, whether it's racial, whether it's of a sexual nature, whether it's in housing, how to advocate for those who cannot advocate for themselves. So in college, I became quite radical. I became very, very, very loud. I became very aggressive, speaking my mind. And when we had a incident happen on the campus of the University of Cincinnati, I will never forget this. There was a Martin Luther King Day trash party held, and one of my classmates, who was white, had gone to this trash party. He had heard about it, and he brought this flyer back because it enraged him greatly. With that, I took the flyer and I organized a campus-wide protest because my point was, again, it wasn't fair. I didn't like what they did. I felt like it was a very negative act, talking about a Martin Luther King Day trash party and all the things you had to bring to be a part of that trash party. And if anyone would like a copy of that flyer to this day, please contact me through GloriaCurtisForMayor.com, and I can give you a copy of that. I still have it to this day. That was the first time I became an activist, and I went after the fraternity that hosted that with a vengeance because I was angry. Now, I'm not a violent person, so I don't take physical action, but my anger spills over into action. And the end result was the fraternity was suspended from action for 3 years because of my protest. Now, that got me started, and I've been this way ever since. So this ties into me running for mayor because I don't see that we have fairness here in Mansfield. This city is still stuck in a time warp of sorts, in that the racial divide here is very, very large and the unity is very small. I had a problem just trying to get myself an invite to the mayoral debate that's going to be held October 20th, which is just next week, on next Tuesday. The reason they gave for that refusal to invite me, I didn't feel was just. I didn't feel that it met my test of fairness. So, using the techniques and all the education I gained at Central State University, how to fight injustice, I employed those, and I think I got an A because they did invite me last week. They invited me to the um, mayoral debate on October 20th. And I think it's only fair that we begin to wake up here in Mansfield and we stop putting off and saying, well, it'll work out. And, well, that's just the way it is. We've got to begin to advocate for fairness and advocate for change. And that's what my platform and my candidacy for mayor is all about. I care deeply about my hometown. I do not think either one of these guys had the least bit of experience or concern to run this city and get the change done that we need, that we've got to have if we're going to stay out of financial emergency, which I feel is something we're going to kind of go back into again if this problem with the city is not resolved. So there you have it, Todd.
Before we go further, I'd like to make sure that the audience understands one of the reasons that was given for you not being invited to this at first. You're a write-in candidate, which is perfectly legal and acceptable in Mansfield and across the United States. And as I understand it, your argument was you shouldn't be excluded just because you were not an official candidate on the ballot. This is a question of democracy. You have someone who is running for a public office, who deserves to be heard by the public, to have their views aired, to be challenged and to challenge others. And rather than just having them realize the obvious that this is part of the democratic process, you had to use those skills you developed at Central State University and go out there and be aggressive and make sure your rights were respected. Do I have that right, or am I missing something here?
Yes, yes, you do. You have that perfectly right. Now, their excuse was I was a write-in candidate. However, this isn't anything new. The mayor of Detroit, Michigan, Mike Dugan, was a write-in candidate last year, 2014. He was a write-in candidate because when he applied for the primary, they said you don't meet the requirements for residency. So he ran as a write-in candidate. Lo and behold, the elections were held for mayor, and Mike Dugan won the election as a write-in candidate. Currently, in the November election, we have 6 people in Toledo, Ohio, who are running for mayor, 4 of which are write-in candidates. And the list just goes on. There are many cities across Ohio and across the country where write-in candidates are the norm. All it means is people have got to type in their name on the voting machines or use a paper ballot, write in their name. That's all that it means. It doesn't mean that they're not a viable candidate. It doesn't mean that they can't be a good candidate for the office if elected. It just means that you get to write their name in. So there you have it.
Now, can people in Mansfield also vote absentee or vote early for the election?
Yes, early voting started actually October 6th.
Oh,
they can, yes, they can contact the Board of Elections for the dates and the times that they can early vote. And they can do absentee ballots. They can also vote a provisional ballot, which means if they wanted to originally sign and vote as absentee, no, I think I'm going to go into the Board of Elections. I'm going to vote there. They can vote a provisional ballot in the Board of Elections. Now, all that will count. But if they do not go to my website, which is gloriacurtisformayor.com, look on the how to vote write-in. That will show you exactly how to fill out the paper ballot if you choose to vote with a paper ballot. It shows you right there how to mark that ballot. Blacken in that oval and write the name Gloria Curtis. Or if you go to the Board of Elections, if you need help in any way to navigate the voting machines or to fill out the paper ballot. All you have to do is ask a Board of Election official, and they will gladly help you cast your ballot. If you have someone with you who knows how to fill out the ballot for you, they can, by law, assist you as well. So there is no reason why voters of Mansfield, Ohio cannot vote for me as a write-in candidate to make sure that our city goes on to get bigger, better, and to remain out of financial emergency. They have to vote for me. That's it.
Now, people can obviously vote on Election Day at the polling location. And Election Day this year is going to be the first Tuesday in November?
Yes, November 3rd is Election Day.
And they can also vote absentee. Now, is that one where they can do it by mail, or they have to go to the Board of Elections and hand it in personally?
Oh, no, 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 no. They can vote absentee. They can even have someone, we had ballots out earlier, or petitions rather. People could request to have someone from the Board of Elections even come to their home or to their nursing center to vote. So if you wanted to vote, you say, hey, I'm at home, I am bedridden, I can't, I want someone to come and fill this out for me. They would send someone from the Board of Elections to your home, and they would make sure that your vote counted. But they can vote absentee just as well.
Oh, very good. That's very good to know. I've never actually heard of a service where an employee of the city will come to your home to make sure that your democratic rights are respected.
Yes. Well, what they would do, the Board of Elections would send two individuals to make sure that one witnessed the other one helping the person to vote. So it's not just one. It would be two Board of Elections officials to help them cast their vote if they choose to do it that way. But those times have passed. That's good to know for future elections if someone wants to vote that way. Okay. But a lot of our seniors like to vote by absentee, and that is fine. But I want them to know, should they choose not to vote absentee, they can go into the Board of Elections. They can say, hey, I previously have registered to vote by absentee, but I want to vote now. I don't want to wait till this. I want to do it right now. So they can vote by provisional ballot right there at the Board of Elections office.
So let me see if I have this correct. Because it's getting close to the election, the only two options that people have is either to vote absentee or to physically go to the polling location. And whether or not you register to vote absentee or not, you can always go to the polling location.
Yes, you can. And early voting is currently active. So they can call the Board of Elections, and they can go along Longview Avenue and vote early if they want to cast their vote prior to November the 3rd.
And, of course, if you have any questions, if you're listening to this before Election Day, please go to GloriaCurtisForMayor.com, and you can ask questions about how to vote, and Gloria will answer for you.
I certainly will.
Now, let me ask you this. This is your first political election?
Yes, it is.
What's the most very first? Your very first. What's the most surprising thing you encountered or unusual situation that you didn't expect?
I have gotten a very, very good response from women. I was surprised about that. I have had a number of women come up to me. One came up to me right before the last mayoral debate this week, and she says, I finally met you in person. Oh, I'm so glad to meet you. She says, as soon as I heard a woman was running for office, she says, I have been talking you up to everybody I know. I've been sending out emails. A woman's running. We got to get her in office. And I said, after I kind of composed myself, because I was just shocked. I said, why? You hadn't met me. She says, you're a woman. I'm tired of these men coming in here and not doing anything. And I keep hearing the name Lydia Reed. Nothing's been done right since Lydia Reed came in office, because the women are now, it seems to me, collecting themselves together, talking me up because they like my platform and they believe in my platform, and they know that as a woman we think and we feel differently about things. I'm very focused on family-friendly businesses, and I want to have things for our young people. Now, I think that way because I'm a mother of four adult children. And so it was always big for me to go places that my children could go. So if my husband and I went out somewhere, we went to Dave and Buster's. So we could let the kids run around and keep an eye on them having fun while dad and I, sat and dined and the whole bit. And I'm real big on that, but I think part of it is because I'm a mom. And so that part of me is a little bit different from the male candidates. And so that was surprising to me how much the women here have embraced my running for office.
Before we end the show today, I'd like to go back to an earlier topic you talked about and let you expand on that a little bit about the business opportunities that you believe exist in Mansfield. And as much as possible, I'd like to have the business community hear what those are.
Well, as we talked about during the program, that Mansfield is between two major cities of Columbus and Cleveland, Ohio. We are smack dab on I-71. So that makes us a good place to be along the highway. We have a very good infrastructure that's set up for large trucks to kind of come through and get to the highway. We have a airport. We have Mansfield Airport that is very well underutilized. Underutilized. Hint, hint, businesses. We have room for growth and development. We would love to have people come in and use our transportation that we have by air. So we would love to have a commercial maintenance hub because we're up between Columbus and Cleveland. And I would love to see a UPS or a FedEx hub here. We also have rail service coming right through our city. So we are prime location with rail and highway and an airport. And we have so much available land here. We have vacant buildings. We have a wealth of places that businesses can grow and develop. We've got a workforce ready, eager to work of people. And as mayor, I do hope that I'm going to be mayor. As mayor, I would embrace businesses to communicate with me, visit us, let us show you what we have to offer your company because we've got everything you need. Workforce, rail, we have it all. We just need companies to come here and give us a chance to show you what we've got to offer.
Well, on that note, I'd like to thank you for being with us here today in this special edition of the Conversation at airsafe.com. Gloria Curtis, candidate for mayor in Mansfield, Ohio. You can check out her campaign at gloriacurtisformayor.com, gloriacurtisformayor.com. And once again, thanks for having us.
Thank you so much, Todd, for the invitation to talk.
Well, anytime. And I hope to speak to you again with a new title. Her Honor the Mayor.
Yes, I hope so as well.
All right. I'll talk to you later.
All right.
All right. Bye-bye.